Hey guys, Nadine here. So today we are actually going to go right into the kitchen and I'm going to show you practical, real food items to have throughout the day. That's a common question that I get from a lot of people is, I can give you all the tips as to, you should have protein, you should have veg, what should be on your plate, but I'm going to really lay it right out in front of you today, okay? So I'll see you when you get back. Hey guys, Nadine here, fitness and fat loss with Fit Body Bootcamp. So today we are going to go right into the kitchen. This is going to give you real practical tips that you can implement into your healthy eating right away. Okay, this is a common question that I get as a personal trainer. When it comes down to it, we can give you all the tips for working out, but you need to make sure that you are clean eating. Now, you want to make sure that you're eating clean for more than one reason. It's not just to trim down and take the fat off of your body, but you want to make sure that you're fueling your body properly with clean foods, okay? Because if you're eating a lot of garbage, it's just going to make you feel like garbage, okay? So clean eating, all right? So to start off with, I want to go over what we usually have for breakfast, okay? This is a big one. Now, for those of you that do work out, I often get the question, well, what do you eat before you work out? Because you don't want to be eating something, too heavy because you don't want to feel nauseous throughout your workout. Totally understandable. And then there's people that don't eat breakfast at all, maybe not even eating until noon, okay? So a couple things to start off with. Before you come and work out, make sure that you are eating before you work out, because I often tell people it's like starting your car in negative 40-degree weather and slamming down that gas pedal right down to the floor. You have absolutely no fuel to work off of, okay? Maybe from last night's dinner, but you just don't have anything, okay? So make sure that you get those sugars up so you don't feel like you're gonna pass out during your workout. So make sure you have some energy. So a couple of tips, a couple suggestions by all means that you can definitely mix it up. Like for myself, I have anything throughout any time of the day. But some common things that I like to suggest to some of my members, when we go through the grocery store, I give you some of these tips when we actually go grocery shopping. So here I have, it doesn't really matter on the brand. Again, I just grabbed these items that were in my house or in the grocery store that I first grabbed. So we have steel cut oats or rolled oats. Now oatmeal is a great option. Rolled oats and steel cut are the least processed, okay? So that's why I picked these, ideally steel cut. They take a little bit longer to make, but your rolled oats rather than, your quick 2-minute packaged oatmeals. Those aren't necessarily very your healthy option. So if I'm having this, I'll usually make it at night so that, because I don't have an hour to prepare my breakfast in the morning. Surprisingly, I do like to sleep just like yourself as well. Okay, so that's a common thing is that people are like, well, I don't want to have to wake up an hour early just to prepare. You don't, I can fry up 2 eggs and throw some peppers in that I already have cut up because I cut up my vegetables on a Saturday or Sunday. And I have everything cut up in terms of that prior. Okay, so I'll throw that up and throw a couple eggs on the skillet. I can do that in 2 minutes while I brush my teeth. So that is not, it doesn't take long. It's just people think that healthy eating takes too long and they want to hit that snooze button. So I already have the oatmeal prepared the night before. I'll put them in different containers so it's there and ready. And then what I'll do is I'll heat it up the next morning. Maybe throw some fruit on top of it. So I have some bananas here, some apples, just as quick, easy options. Also here I have Greek yogurt with some other fruit. So again, this can be, if the fruit's in season, then I'll obviously grab that. If not, I'll grab my frozen berries and have that and throw that on top as well. Another good question that I get is, what about whey protein, Nadine? So I have a whey protein that I use here. This is BioTrust. I purchased this online. You can Google that, or you can contact me if you'd like to have the contact information to purchase that online. Another great one is Greens Plus Proteins, Proteins Plus by Greens. That's the one that you can buy locally here in Shoppers or Sobeys or Zehrs. Great option. So the whole idea about whey protein is make sure that if you're having it, you understand that you shouldn't be having it all day, every day, okay? It is a quick alternative. It is always best to eat the food rather than supplement it, but this is a great option if it means that you're not gonna have anything, okay? So I like to throw this in shakes sometimes when I'm in a rush, and you know, usually that isn't the case because I have everything planned, right? And you will too. But this is a great option, you know. Remember that protein will help you feel fuller longer, okay? So I'll throw this in my Magic Bullet, for example, a great, you know, mixer for you. Throw in like a scoop or two, depending, read the back as to how much you should have, depending on if you're male or female. Scoop or two, throw some, you know, berries in, maybe a kiwi, maybe some pineapple that day, whatever I really have in my fridge. I'll throw some Greek yogurt in, a couple ice cubes, and I'm out the door, okay? So that is, you know, like I said, a whey protein. That is an alternative. So again, that's BioTrust, but you can have proteins, Greens Plus. Beware of your proteins, okay? So I do only suggest a few to my members. There are a lot of proteins out there that have a lot of unhealthy options and ingredients in it, okay? You really do pay for what you get when it comes to whey protein. So just be mindful of that. Look at the ingredients. If it has a huge list of words that you don't even understand, that's not a good thing, okay? Look for the least amount of ingredients. It means it's a bit more of a whole product, okay? So then we are going to move on to your mid-morning. So just heading back actually to if you are working out in the morning, please make sure you eat something before you come and work out. A couple other options for the morning, you know, you can have a whole grain toast with maybe some almond butter. I don't have almond butter here, but it's a great option as well. So just something along those lines. I talked about eggs as well. You know, eggs are a great option. I have some hard-boiled eggs over here. I love to have hard-boiled eggs on hand in my fridge. Again, you know, for when you're hungry and you're not sure necessarily what to grab, then I have those on hand. So you're eating before you work out, and then obviously make sure that you are getting some protein right after your workout as well. So whether that's, you know, whey protein with some water, with a shaker cup, or cottage cheese is a great option. It is an excellent recovery source as well. So one of those two items I usually, or your Greek yogurt as well, source of protein. Now do note, don't be having the same thing, you know, before and constantly throughout the whole day. Mix and match what you're having. You're going to get different nutrients from different items, okay? So that's going to be something, if I'm working out in the morning, for example, for those of you that are making that good life choice, you can work out any time of the day, but just make sure you're working out before, ideally, you know, a good half hour before you work out, ideally an hour, but that's not always an option. So that is actually getting into your body and you don't feel like it's, you know, in the back of your throat when you're doing some burpees or whatever the case. Okay, so mid-morning. Now remember, we are going to be eating every few hours, right? Because we want to keep our metabolism up. So mid-morning and mid-afternoon snacks or meals are the common ones that I have to educate people on when it comes to healthy food options, okay? Because those are the ones that people usually aren't having. So that's why, you know, and it doesn't need to be anything like out of the ordinary. It could be something that maybe you could have had for breakfast, but you had something else. So if I had 2 hard-boiled eggs with some fruit, like an apple, for breakfast, I might have some Greek yogurt with, you know, some, any of these vegetables. And that's why I put a whole bunch of vegetables here, you know, always throwing those in throughout random spots of the day, whether they're raw, steamed, grilled on the barbecue, it doesn't really matter. I have some almonds here. Note that any type of healthy fat, so nuts are a healthy fat, they're unsalted, roasted, okay? So make sure that they're plain nuts. And what you're gonna do is make sure that you do realize that nuts are a fat, but they are healthy, so that's why I counted out about 12. You know, we're talking about 10 to maybe 14 or so when it comes to nuts. They're healthy, but they are still fat. So please make sure you're not chomping on them throughout the entire day, okay? Cottage cheese, excellent source. I was just actually munching on this right before we started taping. Delicious snack. I love it. It's quick and easy. And then, like I said, vegetables are always on hand for me. When I'm on the go, grabbing them, you know, especially for a lot of people who might be on the road for their work. I know that that's always a struggle because it's not always available. Pack your cooler. No, these are easy things that you can just grab, okay? So mid-morning, again, like I said, don't be afraid to don't think that, you know, necessarily like a chicken breast or anything along those lines needs to be eaten at nighttime, okay? Mix and match whatever you're having. You know, like I said, you could have your whole grain toast, so that's a simple carb, so it's not as beneficial to you. But if you're having that something after your workout because you worked out this morning or in the morning, you could be having that after your workout then, maybe with, you know, a couple eggs or, you know, something like that if you haven't had eggs yet as an option. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of an idea for morning and mid-morning. Vegetables, you know, fruits. Try to have more vegetables than fruits. We're going to go over a little later in the show lunch as well as mid-afternoon, as well as supper and your late night eating. That's always a big one. So with every meal, please make sure that you are having water or like some sort of herbal tea, only black though. A common question that I'll get is, what about coffee? I need to have my coffee. Fine, have your coffee by all means. A lot of people have kind of a bad rap about coffee. I drink it occasionally when I, you know, feel like it. It's what people are putting in it. So ideally, you know, you want to be drinking your coffee black. Some people can't even get their mind around that one. So put a little bit of skim milk if you need to, but don't be having double, okay? Constantly, you know, throughout the week, because some people actually tell me, well, that's my one thing, okay? And I'm like, all right, well, let's put all that cream and pile it up after a week, okay? That double, and maybe you have 2 coffees a day, okay? Put that in a container. Think about all that fat after 1 week. That could be a pound of fat that you could be losing that you are still having, okay? So think about it as a whole, okay? And same with the sugar. If you're having 2 teaspoons of sugar, you know, each day on each coffee, by the end of the week, think about how much sugar that is, okay? So moving on to lunch and mid-afternoon snack. We'll talk to you right after this.
I'm a massage therapist, so I need upper body strength, that kind of stuff, and I've found ever since I started coming to boot camp and building that strength that my job is a lot easier. I have a longer endurance of being able to have more clients, that kind of stuff. Whereas before I would get tired after a few people and then I'd be able to continue on, but I would be tired at the end of the day, where now I have more energy. It's definitely worth it. The program can be altered to what you can do or can't do if you have certain limitations with your joints or your body, that kind of stuff. The trainers are really great, especially Nadine. She's awesome with trying to modify a program to suit you. The program is based for what you can do.
Welcome back, guys. Nadine here. We are going to go on to lunch and mid-afternoon snack. Okay, so now remember, as always, I'll keep repeating this, whatever's on your plate, look at 2 things. What's on your plate? Is there a protein, a veg, and a healthy fat, and your portion sizes. So whenever I say portion sizes, for your protein, the size of your palm, size of your fist, for your vegetables, and about the size of your thumb for your healthy fats, okay? So healthy fats could consist of any type of nut, or, you know, like your olive oils and stuff like that you might grill some of your vegetables in, okay? So very little amount with that, but it is still important for your proper nutrition. So lunch. Lunch is something that usually for most people needs to be planned, because you might be working out of the home, which, you know, is fine. Just it actually is a good thing, because then it's planned, it's set, you're going to have it, right? As long as you plan it, you're not grabbing those, you know, quick meals or going through the Tim Hortons drive-through. Okay, think about it and plan. You will be way more successful and you'll feel so much better. So a common thing from most of my members when I go through, because the first step that I go through when I have someone new in my program is I get them to take me through their day. So, and you can do this on your own, you know, while we're watching this. What time do you wake up? Okay, let's say it's 7 a.m. When's your first meal? Make sure that you're eating within 30 minutes that you wake up, so you can start your metabolism, get it going. Because whenever you eat, your metabolism goes up. okay? Then you want to be eating every few hours. So if I wake up at 7, I'm eating again at 9, maybe 10. That's usually when a coffee break is at most offices anyways, okay? So then we are heading over to lunch. So noon, what are you having? Okay, so make sure there's a protein. So are you having maybe like some leftovers from the night before? Maybe a chicken breast, maybe some tuna. I have canned tuna here. I have it in water rather than like an oil. Okay, so otherwise chicken breast is a common thing that maybe I'll throw on top of a salad. So I'll put a little bit of maybe spinach leaves, throw a can of tuna or some chicken, and then I'll put a bunch of vegetables on it. These vegetables could be grilled with the chicken for all I care. You're just mixing it up and just, having an overall healthier meal, okay? So that would be a common thing that I might have for lunch. Another thing is that I could have the spinach leaves with a couple hard-boiled eggs. So again, this is a great mid-afternoon, meal that I just threw together, something that I might have. Another thing that I really a tip from one of the cooks that I know, she actually mixed tuna with a half avocado, and it made a really nice mixture actually. So do note that avocados are a healthy fat, so be mindful not to have too much of it throughout the day, but it is great to put on like a sandwich, for example. If I'm having a sandwich at lunch, usually I'll try to watch my simple carbs, which is your breads, pastas, rices, stuff like that. I'll try to watch how much I'm having. If I don't plan on having any other grains throughout the day, I might have like an open-faced sandwich that day. So just one piece of bread, and it's always going to be whole wheat, whole grain. So then I might put some avocado on it. I also, you can get some lean ground beef and make your own burger patties. And you can also use that for something like a supper as well, lean ground beef. And then obviously you're making sure that you can watch the grains. Usually I'll try to have my hamburgers without the bun, and you can get that at restaurants too, so be mindful of that. That's a handy little tip. Avocado on a burger, a great option. So again, just making sure that your mid-afternoon meals, or even your mid-morning, or even your lunch, they don't need to be anything like most people are sitting down for their big meals at supper time. I commonly see that. Breakfast isn't really paid attention to. It's usually just like a cereal. That's like a processed meal, okay? So try to have more clean products. So we always want to make sure that you're having your vegetable and then your protein. Something like a mid-afternoon meal could be like some homemade hummus with some vegetables. That's a great option. Also, some other things that you want to stick around to is any of the items, that we talked about for breakfast. Those also could be swapped in for mid-afternoon as well. I try to keep my fruits, if I'm having fruits, I try to keep them to the morning because they are higher in natural sugars. So if you're having them, ideally you're going to have them right away after your workout because your metabolism is so high. Otherwise, try to keep them to the morning because then you can burn those sugars off throughout the day rather than having them later on at night. Always water or some sort of herbal tea with each meal because you're wanting to have half your body weight in water, half your body weight in ounces of water per day. So for example, if you're 150 pounds, you're going to want to have 75 ounces. So if you have a water bottle that you always carry around, which I suggest, track as to how many you're having for the next week per day, and then that will make sure that you're on track as to how much you should be having, okay? A lot of people are sticking to, pop or juices throughout the day. Get those stuff out of there, especially for those of you that think, diet pop's okay? It's just, again, an unhealthy option for you that's not going to be beneficial for you. You will get used to not having it. It will take a little bit of time. I know a lot of my members, they say that they need it, that's their one thing, but then remember that one thing is the coffee that they had the double this morning as well. So a lot of things that are happening. Also you'll notice that I have my Mrs. Dash. I take this everywhere. This is a great, spices, watch the sodium that you're putting on all your items all the time, so your salt and stuff like that. Spice up your items rather than using a whole bunch of sauces, okay? Be a little bit more creative. Trust me, I try to do like the very basic. But that's why, you know, it's just a mixed blend, and you can put it on your chicken. You can, and like again, I'll commonly have like some sort of salmon maybe with this lunch. As long as there's a protein, you know, all different types of lean proteins, you know, whether it's cottage cheese or whether it's some sort of veggie burgers or, you know, some other options, tofu, if you know how to master making that, that's definitely a good option. Hard-boiled eggs. I've definitely loved my sweet potatoes as well. This is a common thing that I'll make some sweet potato fries with that. So that gives you some easy options for, you know, basics. It really isn't hard. It really, you know, just clean products. So that's your lunch and your mid-afternoon snack. Let's move on to supper as well as the dreaded late night eating. All right, I'll see you when you guys get back.
So before joining Fit Body Boot Camp, I needed to do a change in my life. I had just had my daughter. It was about 6 months after that I decided I had to get back into shape. So I tried a normal gym, but couldn't motivate myself. So I heard about Fit Body Boot Camp. I signed up on a 6-month trial and loved it, and I've been here ever since. So after joining Fit Body Boot Camp, I saw a need to change not just my exercise patterns, but also my eating habits. So with some help from Nadine at Fit Body Boot Camp and my fellow campers, I got training in how to eat healthy, different lifestyle changes. So daily exercise, coming to the gym a couple times a week, and cutting out the processed junk food.
I was attending a workshop for compassion fatigue, and I work in an environment that is involved with crisis all the time. We're responding with emergency responders to people who are in crisis. And so I was with 6 other executive directors from our region taking this workshop, and the bells and whistles went off for me about how stressed I was, and I was literally in a state of going into compassion fatigue. At that same time, I had gained some weight. I was feeling kind of yucky, no energy, tight deadlines. How was I ever going to fit in half an hour to do exercise? All that stuff, all the things that people do. So I came back home and I posted on my Facebook these things that you could do at home to lose weight. And my friend Melissa, who's also a member, came along and said, why don't you try boot camp? I was looking for reasons why I couldn't do it, how I couldn't fit it in my timeline, what I would do after physical fitness. And thanks to Nadine, who met with me personally, really began to show me the purpose of not only physical fitness, but also looking at my nutrition. I was a person who ate nothing all day till dinner time, would eat at dinner time, then I would eat all night, garbage, and I would get up and I would redo it the next day. So after 6 months of boot camp, I'm lost 14 pounds, I feel great, I have no problems with my schedule, I always make time for exercise, and I'm eating.
Hey guys, welcome back. Nadine Vandenheuvel, Fitness and Fat Loss with Fit Body Boot Camp. We are going to move on to our final section of this episode, and we're going to talk about supper or dinner and late night eating. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I will keep repeating it because I have to repeat it to my members that I've had for, 3-4 years, okay? So what's going on is whenever you eat, you want to watch 2 things. Do you have a protein, do you have a veg, and do you have a healthy fat? And what portion sizes, okay? So we commonly have to know that, you can eat anything throughout the day. I don't care if it's commonly known as a breakfast food or if a supper food is eaten at breakfast. For all I care, like I've had chicken breast for breakfast, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of what most people are used to, but you can shake it up. So for supper, I have a lot of really great recipes that I hand out to my members, and you can connect with me. Check out my website at kincardinefbbc.com, and you can go on there and get some of those. Otherwise, connect with me for further questions for the last episode. But the main thing that you want to understand is that I understand most people are sitting down with their families for supper, okay? Unless you're shift work or whatever, but the majority. So this usually supper isn't a big one that I have to, focus on too much, unless you're going to eat out, which is a common thing that a lot of people are doing nowadays as well. But supper isn't usually a big one that I need to stress on too much about clean eating, because usually people have a protein, usually people have some sort of vegetable, and you just have to watch your starches then, okay? So if you're having a starch, watch the portion sizes, so about what kind of fits in the cup of your hand, okay? And always whole wheat, whole grain. So if you're having, for example, sweet potatoes, try to have sweet potatoes over like your white potatoes. Red potatoes actually have a better, healthier skin on them, so that's a better option than white potatoes. Then, if you're having pasta, for example, if you go out to eat at a restaurant with pasta, that whole plate's going to be covered, and that's just, that's more than what fits in the cup of the hand, right? So, try to make sure you, ask for half of the plate and tell them to pack the other half before you even get it, because once you start talking, you'll just keep eating, okay? Even way past your full level. So whenever you're eating, you're only looking at to fill yourself 75 to 80% of what your full level is, because you will be eating again in a few hours. So mid-afternoon, I find that a lot of people don't commonly eat. Well, it's the mid-morning and mid-afternoon is usually what I need to educate a lot of people on. So again, this is a common thing that I just threw together. 2 hard-boiled eggs, which are always, available in your fridge. 2 eggs are a good one serving of protein. And then I like to mix up my colors with my vegetables. So I have some carrots and cucumbers, but I have red peppers, green peppers, broccoli here. I always have a bunch of variety picked available in my fridge. And for those of you that say that you're just cooking for one, I cook for one, so there's no excuse. The tougher issue is when you have a big family and they're not on board with your healthy eating, okay? So they bring, unhealthy food options into the house. For me, if I have unhealthy food options in the house, I will eat it, so watch out, okay? So that's why it's very important to, get them on board with your healthy eating. It's going to help all of you, feel better, function better, just overall, it's better for your full functioning of your body, okay? Now the next thing to also think about is if they are bringing it into the house, try to keep it to like one drawer, and if you have to lock that drawer, that's fine too, but keep it out of your sight. And when you feel those cravings when you think about how that licorice or those jujubes are in there, think about what you're doing, what your goals are. That's going to shy you away. You got to stay focused, okay, as to what your goals are, so that you make sure you're on track, okay? So other than that, just want to move on to late night eating. A lot of people are like, well, I often ask, is it a habit or are you hungry? Ask yourself, if you're hungry, please eat, but it's what people are eating, okay? So please make sure you choose healthy food options. Any of these options that we talked about today, plus we give out many other recipes and tips on my site, so just check that out. Don't be eating crap, because like the chips, the popcorn, look for air pop popcorn, that's a healthy option as well. Make sure, maybe you can just curb that eating by drinking some water. Okay, so we talked about some great food options, like practical tips today. If you have any questions, please check us out on Facebook and ask us on there. Other than that, I'll see you next time. And this is Nadine with Fitness and Fat Loss with Fit Body Boot Camp. See you next time.